Hi everybody, Matt Lawton here, and this is the Astrological Winds channel. I'm going to take a look at the astrological weather report for the week of April 3rd through the 9th. And I've got three things I want to look at this week. I want to look at the journey of Mercury. It's going into Taurus, and it's going to do a few aspects that I think will work really well together as the week goes along. And then we've got a full moon this week in Libra, 17 degrees opposite Chiron. And then I look at one other thing later in the week. Next weekend we have a Venus sextile Neptune. But first, the Astrological Winds channel is a free service. It is my video blog and it's on YouTube. So if you have a YouTube account, become a follower, please. Turn on your notifications after you do, and you'll know when the blog is posted each week. And that's usually on Monday. Once in a while, it comes out on Sunday also. And also, if I ever do any extra blogs, like I did a couple weeks ago on the U.S. quarter, it'll notify you of that. It's also available on all kinds of podcasts. So if you are into just if you're into podcasts, there's really no reason to see the video. Usually it's just me talking to the camera. Once in a while, I'll flash a chart up there. But otherwise, just look it up on your favorite podcast, and it frees you from, gives you the ability to do it from other places. And remember, it is a free service. The best way you guys can help me out is to pass the link on to somebody else you might know who's interested in astrology. And remember, that's an awful lot of people these days. Probably half the people in your contacts are interested in astrology these days. So, if you can pass that link on, it helps my blog grow organically. The other way, and the best way you can help me out, is I am a professional astrologer. So when you need some professional astrological services, when you want to finally get that chart done or get it done by a professional, when you really are interested in seeing what the year ahead has, or some relationship issues, or whatever it may be that you're moving, just get in touch with me, and we can work out a way of getting a reading done for you. And my best way of getting in touch with me is through my email, and that's matthue823@gmail.com. That's matthue823@gmail.com. You can leave me a message in the comments, but remember, there's a lot of comments that go on back and forth in the world, so sometimes it can slip through the cracks and might be seen for a while. So that's really the best way to get me. Now, also remember, if you are not super familiar with astrology, and especially the terms, do not get hooked on what I'm about to say astrologically, on the terms and language of that. You want to listen to the interpretations in between those terms, and that's what you want to know about the energy that's coming this week, so that you can still use that knowledge even if you don't understand the terms. And I still am going to always mention the terms, because most of the people who watch the blog do understand some of the astrology, and they want to know why and learn something from that. So, okay, let's get into this. So Mercury has an interesting week this week, and it starts today on Monday. Mercury is going to go into Taurus, and it's going to spend a long time in Taurus. It's going into Taurus, that would be Monday, April 3rd, and it will stay in Taurus until June 12th. So we've got 10 weeks of Mercury in Taurus. And why is that? Because Mercury is going to go retrograde in Taurus. It will go retrograde on April 21st. So we still have about 2.5 weeks before that happens, and it will be at 16 degrees of Taurus where it goes retrograde, and then it'll retrograde back to 6 degrees. So our shadow period is going to be in about a week, about 2 weeks before Mercury retrograde goes directly retrograde. We'll start to feel a little bit of the things that that normally affects, which is communications, connections, timing of events, the starting of events, and the expectations that you can get out of doing things all kind of get off, start to go a little bit awry, don't live up to the expectations that we normally have. They're not working as well as they normally do. So we'll start to see that shadow when it reaches about 6 degrees in about a week. And then it will stay retro from the 21st. It'll stay retro until May, let's see, what is it? May 14th. May 14th was when it will go direct, and that will be at 6 degrees Taurus. And then it'll start to go forward again, but it'll take all the way another month to June 12th before it'll go into Gemini. And that'll be good. That'll be a really good release when Mercury goes into Gemini, because that's one of the signs it rules. So what is this? Mercury 10 weeks in Taurus will slow things down that are mercurial. Taurus and Mercury, when they get together, Mercury is all about our decision making, our intellect, our communicating, our information gathering, our travel, our traveling around, our mobility, those kinds of things. So all those things, when Mercury goes into Taurus, have a tendency to slow down. We purposely slow things down. We get in a mood or a zone where we realize we basically adopt a conservative attitude intellectually in our approach to things, and we will not make decisions rashly. We will actually want to have all the information in front of us and are willing to plod through it and not be pressured into making some kind of quick decision. So we're going to have 10 weeks where things really slow down, get into this conservative mindset. And I think a lot of that may actually have to do with the things that Taurus rules again, which is like our security through mainly physical stuff, mainly through our money, through our assets, through the objects that we acquire and our property, even the stability of our family. So, Mercury in Taurus is kind of looking into the past. It's wanting to be conservative and look to ways in the past that have gotten us through. And I think right now, with the way the economy is, and Taurus having so much to do with the economy, that's what's going to really be a big focus of this 10-week period of Mercury and Taurus, where people are going to be more cautious with their money, more cautious and conservative with their objects and assets and property. They're going to want solid agreements. They're not going to be pushed into things. They're going to want all the facts in front of them. And it may be at times feel like very entrenched, stubborn positioning that's going on by all of us in desire. But and on an outside level, it's like we're just slowing down, and we really are not going to be bullied into other positions. We're going to want to find some common ground. And that's only after we've thoroughly gone through everything that we feel needs to be looked at. So it's going to slow things down. And what's interesting is on the very same day, today, Monday, it squares Pluto right away. Remember, Pluto just went into Aquarius, another fixed sign like Taurus. So immediately, Mercury picks up this square with Pluto. And this can give a very obsessive mind. It can get very narrow and focused and really blow things out of proportion. It can take a little problem or a little flaw or a little mistake and blow it up in a way of making, by just obsessing with it and crowding other things out. And it's our own thoughts, our own opinions, and our own ideas, Mercury, that we're doing that with. And what happens is then we try to push coerce those ideas, thoughts, and opinions onto other people. So it has a lot to do with propaganda, literally like underhanded or hidden maneuvers where you're not, or others are not exposing their true intentions of why they're doing things. So it can get like, pretty like almost like psychological warfare in a certain kind of way. And it can get very, very frustrated with other people who don't go along with your opinions and stuff, but everyone's going to get entrenched with these fixed signs, Pluto in Aquarius, people entrenched on their ideals, and Mercury in Taurus, they're entrenched on the way they want to do things. So this can be very unpleasant if we decide to try to go that route. But we can use this energy in another way instead. With Mercury and Pluto, we can look actually at what's actually motivating us. What is the subconscious energy behind that energy that makes us want to push that energy out, that stuff? What is driving us to do that? And then because there's such that, remember I said there's this very narrow focus. Well, we can take that and turn it into something very useful. Instead of obsessing over some, small thing and blowing it out of proportion, we can use that mind, that very precise, concise mind that's like a laser with Mercury Pluto, to do research on something that's really important to us right now, not something that you're blowing out of proportion. Like Mercury would say something that's business related perhaps, or some kind of negotiation or discussion, or finding new information that you need to make decisions. So we can turn this energy around, is my point, if we don't project it out onto others and try to coerce them into doing what we want to do, and instead use it like a laser to get to the bottom of stuff that's important for us right now and help us to make a stronger decision and clear our minds about a lot of things. Now, like I said, Mercury does an interesting journey this week. By Wednesday, remember, Saturn also just changed signs. So it's early in Pisces. And so by Wednesday, Mercury sextiles Saturn. So now, if we've used the energy of the Mercury Pluto to do the research we need, now we have the information that we need to start making a plan in details. Mercury and Saturn, opportunities to plan and organize things in very detailed manners. Getting information from other sources, from people who have more wisdom or knowledge, from outside sources that help us make a more mature decision, help us make wiser decisions. So once again, this is really good for business related stuff. Mercury, business, and organizing. Saturn, coming up with ways to make a system that's going to work, and willing to put that work in there. Mercury and Saturn in the sextile are willing to put aside some of the immediate gains or pleasure for something that you're working towards. So willing to sacrifice fun for duty right now with a really good attitude about it. So, because we have this information we need, so now we can plug it in to all the places that we need to plug it in and develop a plan. And then from there on Friday, Mercury sextiles Mars. Okay, and both of them connect to the North Node. By then, Mercury in Taurus conjuncts the North Node, which is getting near the beginning of Taurus. Remember, the nodes always are moving backwards in general, so as they go through a sign, they're actually getting closer to the sign behind them. So at this point, Mercury conjuncts the North Node, and Mars sextiles the North Node, and Mercury is, of course, then sextiling Mars. So this shows that now, whatever that plan is that we've developed, we're going to get a lot of energy out of it. We're getting really excited now. Now we can start looking into the future and acting on it. And a lot of it might still be more like mental or intellectual work that's still needing to be done, maybe paperwork, computer work, gathering more information, making more connections with others. But the clarity is now coming in. The mind is acute. It has the information it needs to move forward. You can get a lot of work done under a Mercury Mars. There's a lot of energy involved, and you can get physical work done too. And it's also great for giving you the energy to do all that stuff that the Mercury Saturn says in the plan. So it's like, go and do that. And it's a very positive energy now too. Now that any kinds of negotiations or anything that were stalled because of Mercury Pluto earlier in the week can really open up. There's a detached, open, and honest attitude towards business, negotiations, contract works, any kinds of discussions, things like that. And this is also another good sign for traveling. So if that requires, your plan requires some movement and moving of things, at that point, it is time to do that. And like I said, conjuncting the node and Mars sextiling the node shows this is a collaborative effort, that you can come together with people who have shared intellectual interests, shared business ideas, and organize things, come together and move forward. It's time to push it with the Mars sextiling the node. There's this comradeship, teamwork that's working harmoniously together and can move a lot more energy than an individual can alone. So a very interesting journey for Mercury this week, huh? And I would say highly, don't get lost today in the obsession of the Pluto thing and project it onto others with power trips, but instead, do the research, start making the plan, and by the end of the week, you want to be really plugging it in. Okay, so Wednesday's the big thing this week. It's the full moon in Libra, 17 degrees. So that's the houses you want to look at is 17 degrees Libra, 17 degrees Aries in your chart. This is where that energy is going to be affecting you the most, on the axis of 17 degrees Libra Aries, which is the relationship axis. And so, full moon, as I've said, every month, it's an opposition. The sun and moon are opposite one another. They're in conflict for the most part. And that is the conflict of our emotional needs and the things we need to feel secure inside versus what we are willing, what we want to do, what our will is, what our drive is, what our motivation is. So there's a conflict always in the full moon, and it gets fully exposed for us to deal with. And this full moon is also conjunct, or the sun is conjunct Chiron. So the full moon is opposite Chiron. So we've got Chiron involved in this. And the ruler of the full moon, since it's in Libra, is Venus, which is strong in Taurus, one of the signs it rules, and it's trining series. So what's it all mean together? Well, first of all, the conflict is the moon in Libra is all about connection. That's what makes the moon in Libra feel secure. That's what it needs. It's a human need to have relationship. Even if it's in conflict, humans without relationship literally get so imbalanced so quickly, they literally lose their mind, and it literally leads to their death, actually. So relationship is a very basic need for us, and that's what this moon in Libra is all about. It's wanting to make connection. It's wanting to establish some kind of rapport with others and to do things together and to bring beauty and harmony into relationships. That's what Libra really wants to do. It wants to bring that into relationships, into environment, and it's also a very artistic, creative energy. It wants to make, it wants to create, it wants to make beautiful things. So this is what Libra and moon is all about. It needs that connection to others, and here it runs into the sun in Aries, which is all about me, myself, my drive, what I want to do, without really thinking about how that affects others. So you can see where the conflict is there, that, this soft Libra energy, this receptive energy, then Aries comes in and can be very tactless in the way that it is with others, especially when it's driving for what it wants to do. And that's our sun in Aries. It's like, pushing our own agenda. It wants some kind of adventure that is very subjective and is very self-driven. And so that's where the conflict comes up. How do we find that balance? This very, very open and sensitive sign versus a sign that's very driven and selfish in a certain way, just wanting to push that kind of energy. And so Chiron being opposite the moon shows that it's very easy. People are super sensitive to the remarks, to the actions of others. They take it in and they get very easily hurt by that. And so like the Aries energy can really create a lot of conflict in relationships because of this. But yet the sun is conjunct Chiron. And that shows it's looking for new ways to do things. It's looking for innovation. It's looking for setting new goals and new approaches on things. So there's Chiron is actually opening Aries up a little bit, that sun in Aries up a little bit to other ways of doing things. And then when you think about the Venus, the ruler of the chart, also in Taurus, where once again, Venus is all about relationships, wants to get along with others, and it's catching a trine back to Ceres, which is retrograde in Virgo at this point. But that shows that it wants to give emotional support to others. So there's this energy, I think, with the Chiron conjuncting the sun in Aries and the ruler of the chart, Venus, very strong, trining Ceres, that's starting to tilt the energy more in the Libra direction and trying to take some of the edge off of that Aries sun. So that's what I would say is that, that's what the challenge for the Aries sun is to be aware during this full moon, that to be aware that, if you want to have this new approach, have new goals, new innovations that require other people, then use that same new thing of that for you in your relationships with other people. Be more supportive of them and they'll be more supportive of you. So it's a very interesting way, I think, of just of finding a way out of that conflict. But but it's going to require disciplining that Aries energy that we're all going to be feeling, that drive to do our own thing, and sometimes become very insensitive to even our loved ones, around us, and getting really pushy and just, so this, I think, with the Chiron there and the Venus ruling the chart in strong shape, and going back to Ceres, there's three things that will help that Aries energy kind of take a step back before it just goes aggressively off and says, well, wait a minute. Maybe this will help fulfill my needs of looking for something new, looking for a new innovative adventure, a new chapter in my life. And if I can approach relationships in a more congenial way, in a way of wanting to create harmony like the Libra moon wants, and being sensitive to others like Chiron and the moon want, and wanting to, as part of my Aries adventure, take care of my loved ones and others like the Venus Ceres wants, then we can find a way out of this. So, like I said, look for 17 degrees Libra in your chart, 17 degrees Aries in your chart. Now, what's really nice is this last aspect of the week on Friday, going into Saturday, is a Venus sextile Neptune. And Venus being the ruler, like I just said, of that full moon, this shows that if you handle this right, it could be a very, very sweet result for you. Like, you could really bring relationships up to a higher octave. Venus is the lower octave of love, human love, physical love, and Neptune's the higher octave of love, unconditional love, compassion, And when they come together, it can create beautiful moments of reverie, looking at life at a romantic, creative, abstract way. And it's very like seeing beauty in our relationships and nature and the surroundings around us, and getting a lot of inspiration out of that, getting a lot of like just feeling really good. So this, to me, coming on the weekend after the full moon, shows that if we can, find that balance in our relationships, that challenge of the full moon on Wednesday, we can have a really sweet weekend next weekend with connections with others, with just like these beautiful connections with others, beautiful connections with life itself and art and nature, and like just feeling really connected to the numinous world that way. So the opportunity is there to, work with that full moon and end up on the other side with some really beautiful results and new opportunities, new relationships, or relationships coming up to a higher level of consciousness together. All right, that's what I got for this week. This is Matt Lawton. This is the Astrological Winds channel. It is a free service that I offer on YouTube every week. Please become a follower. If you have a YouTube account, that's simple to do. Become a follower and then turn on your notifications, and you'll know when I do the blog and post it every week. It's also available on all kinds of podcasts. There's over 20 of them that carry it. It's in the top 50%. It's put out through Buzzsprout. Just go on to your favorite podcast, look up the Astrological Winds channel, and start listening to it. There's really, like I said, no need to really look at me right now. I don't really do much on the camera, so like you can just take the audio with you and be free to do so many other things. I also have an Astrological Winds channel on Instagram, and I do post the link there. I post some extra stuff during the week sometimes on that too, and it's not in video or audio form, so become a follower. You get to just see a little comment, oh, this Wednesday there's this grand trine of the moon, just a couple little different things. Also, I post the link on Facebook. My Facebook is a private account, so you have to friend me, and I really don't use it for other stuff, so don't expect much social media use from me out of it. But if you'd rather have it that way, friend me. It's Matthew with 2 T's and then Lawton, Lauten. Anyone who'd like to give a donation to the blog, that my Venmo handle is very similar. It's the symbol @ then Matthew again with 2 T's, capital M, hyphen in the middle, capital Lauten. Best way that you guys can support me, though, is I am a professional astrologer. And if you need some astrological services, get in touch with me. Email me, matthue823@gmail.com. If you've never had your chart done, or you haven't had it done by a professional astrologer or someone who's done it well, that's really, you're watching a blog on astrology, so you have some interest. This is you, and you really should know the energies that are in your chart so that you can, work with them and make your life more harmonious, make your life smoother. So I highly recommend that first. And then if you have had that done and you understand it well, every year around your birthday, you should get a predictive reading for yourself. Give it to yourself as a birthday present, because that way you'll know the energy that's working in your chart that year. Just like I do this astrological report for the week, for you, for the year. And that helps you kind of resolve a lot of the stuff, give you a viewpoint of what's going on, and give you, help give you solutions, give you self-empowerment. Also do relationship charts. People, if you're in a new relationship, kind of interested on why you got together, or even older relationships that are going through things, want to see what it's all up to, do them. Children's charts, if you have a youngster and you're trying to figure out the best way to relate to them. And also knowing the first 20 years of their life, the most major events events that are going to come up. We can do that. Relocation and astrocartography, a lot of people into that. If you're looking into different parts of the world to move, we can see how that'll affect your chart. Or if you're looking to move into power spots represented by certain planets, we can look at what parts of the world's valuable for that. So fixed star readings, I highly recommend for people who are into the esoteric side, who really understand their charts well. It gives you a much deeper understanding of your soul purpose, what's going on in this life. Really cool, deep stuff. Elections, if you have some kind of important event coming up, marriage, new business, I highly recommend trying to get, aligning that with the best energies for success, and we can do that. And then also hurry, if you have some burning emotional question, can't really seem to make a decision with, there's a chart will give us the answers that we're looking for. So all kinds of services, beginner classes available too, 25 a class or 20 for a student, first 5 for 100, just available on Dropbox. And also, if you have a group that's looking for a class in astrology or a lecture or an open question and answer, a mini reading, some kind of entertainment for an event that's astrological themed, all these things, just give me an email and we can discuss that. It's matthue823@gmail.com. That's matthue823@gmail.com. All right, guys, thanks so much. I'll see y'all next week. I would highly recommend using that Mercury this week, and then the full moon's going to be a little bit of a challenge, and just got to discipline that more subjective side of us, and realize the importance of our relationships too. All right, I'll see y'all next week.